Welcome, everybody, to another session of the Career Talks podcast. I'm your host, as always, Orlando Haynes, and super excited for tonight. This is the first time I have double trouble, as one of the Michelles put it. I won't reveal who, but you probably can tell who once you see the personalities and things like that. And one Michelle was like, I can't believe you said that. But yes, these ladies are phenomenal. I've been watching their information in their content on LinkedIn. They published a book together, the LinkedIn Branding book, which is phenomenal. I have a ton of questions for these ladies, and it should be fun for us to really dig in, both in their personal stories and as well as what they're putting out in the book. But before we get started, folks, when you come on, definitely share where you're coming in from. Say hello to everyone. Follow everyone on the broadcast and make some connections. But first and foremost, this episode is sponsored by the Career Accelerator Planner. It's a planner that I created with my partner, Karen Turner, where you are able to track your projects, performance, and your value all in one place, where you can document your wins in corporate America. This way, you're better prepared for crucial conversations around performance reviews, merit increases, or career transitions, or even when you need to get your resume redone. You have all your wins that you've done documented in one place. So you can shoot it over to the careeracceleratorplanner.com. Use code CAP25 for 25% off, run a discount up until the end of the year. So you definitely want to capture that. All right. So too much bio to even for me to go into it with these phenomenal ladies. But one has a background in public relations and marketing. The other is B2B. Both are branding experts on the LinkedIn platform. Let me just bring these ladies in. Michelle, better known as Michelle Squared. Ladies, welcome to the Career Talks podcast, and thank you so much for joining.
It is our pleasure. And of course, I'm not the naughty one.
Me either. I don't know who we're talking about here,
Another
right?
Michelle.
It's good to be here. I'm Michelle.
We have a little froze screen, but we'll proceed. Go right ahead.
One, otherwise known.
Got it. And Michelle Raymond.
Yes.
Exactly. M2 in this conversation to make life easier for you, juggling two Michelles. So, as people can probably tell, based down here in Sydney, so on the other side of the world. So great to be here, Orlando, and can't wait to have the conversation.
Absolutely. So before we get started, ladies, let's just hold up the book so folks can see and know what to go purchase immediately. If you've seen posts all over the place, people are buying the book and showing the picture and supporting both Michelle Raymond and Michelle Griffin. So as the questions come, I'll figure out which way to field them so we know which Michelle we're talking to first, and so no one gets confused. But definitely say hello. Let me see who's joining us so far. And let me just say this, Michelle Raymond, she is joining us from Australia. It is actually Wednesday, 11:05 a.m. her time. So we definitely appreciate that connection. But Michelle Raymond, since I'm on your name first, go ahead and share a little bit more about your background with the folks.
Yeah, thanks, Orlando. So, as you said, I'm based down here in Australia, and I've been a LinkedIn trainer for the last nearly 3 years now. So, I'm the person that never set out to have my own business. I'm the accidental entrepreneur, as I share in the book. And how that happened, I had to quit a job on the spot. I decided I'd never work for anyone else and I would set up my own business. And that was a bit of a process, but here we are today. So I've worked 20 years in B2B sales. I'm a passionate salesperson at heart. I've learned a lot about branding on LinkedIn because I realized that it's the secret to unlocking lots of doors and opportunities. And thanks to my other half of Michelle Squared, I've had to learn a lot, and I've helped my clients then learn a lot about how to implement it on LinkedIn. And that's the exciting part that we're here today to share with others about how many more opportunities you can get when you invest in your brand on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And Miss Griffin.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm a fellow Floridian with you all the way up here in the Panhandle, where no one in the world knows that is Central Time Zone. Every day I get that observation. But anyway, I'm Michelle B. Griffin. Much like Michelle, I'm an entrepreneur almost 3 years. And I was the delayed entrepreneur, as we write in the book. After spending 20 years in PR and marketing, I decided or dreamed for 5 long years that I wanted to have my brand consultancy, but just kept spinning my wheels and just getting unfocused, too many directions, too many ideas, just living in that professional clarity prison, which now has translated into my brand story as the brand therapist. And what I do is really help personal brands, founders, business owners, entrepreneurs really get clear on their brand so that they can stand out and become the go to in their space. At the same time, build their business at the same time. And one of the reasons I love this book is because we don't cut, we bring together the best of personal branding and business branding and the power of two, how you can do how you can do both. And we're here today to talk about it. So Michelle, we are going to be spilling secrets. Watch out, everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, just welcome folks that are joining. Dan, hello. Dan, if you don't know Dan Roth, you definitely want to connect with him as well. He'll be on
Hey,
the
Dan.
show later as well. Joe, appreciate you. Julia as well. Appreciate you joining. So, my question originally, or first question really is, how did you two meet? Whoever want to field that question first, because again, Jay Raymond is in Australia. B. Griffin is here in Florida. How did that connection happen?
Well, the power of LinkedIn is such a good illustration. Our story is that 2 years ago this month is met in a comment. In a comment, I remember
Mm,
exactly. It was Tisdale, who's an Australian LinkedIn trainer, and we started DMing, talking, getting a 3 hour Zoom call, collaborated, hired each other, and started podcasts, and then 9 months wrote the book together. So if you don't think you can meet someone who can change your life and they can be across the world, like Michelle and I couldn't be farther, think again, because LinkedIn is that place to find your power partners and community.
awesome. Awesome. So, who originally, as we jump into the book, the LinkedIn Brandon book, how did you two originally just think, hey, we should connect and do this? Where was that first initial conversation and epiphany in that friendship?
Yeah, look, the one thing that brings Michelle and I together is the impact that we want to make. We are absolutely committed to helping others, rise up and stand out on LinkedIn. And essentially, we've done all kinds of collaborations together, whether, she's been a guest on my LinkedIn Lives and vice versa. And then we started doing LinkedIn audio because Michelle was a beta tester on that. She's like, do you want to come and do a room? And so then it turned into, maybe we should do a podcast together, which then turned into, what about if the episodes we do were kind of just in case we want to do a book, which turned into, hey, let's do a book. It's on my bucket list. Michelle always wanted to write one. So I was like, jump in the deep end and yep, let's go. Let's do this. So it's a bit messy back at the beginning. It wasn't necessarily something that we both, sat down and said, let's write a book, but it just became so natural that that was the extension of how we could help more people around the world from wherever they are. And that is the beauty for us, seeing all those photos, people holding up the book all around the world. It just blows my mind, and the feedback that we get. And that is exactly what we set out to do, is just have this bigger impact. And a book is such a great way to do that.
Love it. So let's dive in because you have four main pieces to the book. What I love about the first two chapters, and correct me if I'm wrong, it really dives into mindset. So, folks,
Mhm.
when I say get the book, get the book. You have the brand squared system. Talk to me about those four pieces, and we can unpack those as we go.
The brand squirt system is our 4 part stair step, if you will, to build the power of two, the personal and business brand. And there's a reason why we don't even touch LinkedIn till number 3. We share our stories of struggling with mindset. We see it all the time. I don't care what age stage you are across countries, everyone has mindset issues and blocks that really hides and keeps us hidden. And we hate that. We want to see people bring their good to the world. So we cover mindset, and we have a 3 part framework how to do that. We cover the fears, identifying the fears, and getting rid of the excuses. We identify both of those, all those excuses. There's probably like 40 of all those. So we
Mhm.
really have you identify, accept, and then take some action. So we make it actionable. So mindset is very much important to, just get clear on who you are so you can know where you want to go. And without that, we figured the rest of the book just wouldn't make any sense.
And I love the workbook that you have connected to it. I was looking through it today. Very detailed. It's very thought provoking. Talk to me, Miss Raymond, around matching up the workbook to the actual book. What was the formula for that?
Look, I can't take the credit for the idea of having the workbook. That is absolutely Michelle Griffin's idea. But I'm so glad that we did it because not only does it just bring the book to life in another level, we want people to not just read a book because it's entertaining, but we want them to take action. So we wanted to pull out all of the key areas that we wanted people to focus on that would have the biggest impact and that they could take action. The thing that would make us both cry is if people just read the book and then put it back on a shelf and just continued as they were. That it would be a
Mhm.
crying shame. So the workbook is our way of bringing that back to life. And just, you get to follow it through, you get to take it at your own pace. And it's step by step. Just follow the instructions, follow the path, and you will get to your goals. It's really that simple. How do we know? Because we've been on exactly the same journey ourselves. This isn't something that's written theoretically. That's why our stories are so throughout the book, because this is what we went through. We know what it feels like for people, and we wanted to say, hey, if you're back here and feeling scared, don't worry, follow these steps and we can get you to the next step, which is foundations, which if we didn't put the foundations of branding in this book, I think Michelle would have walked out because not only is getting over your fear important, but the foundations of branding are the thing that I skipped over. And I think lots of other people out there skip over.
Yeah, I love the way you break it down, and I don't want to jump too far into the book just yet. And I'll quickly add the third. You put fusion. Definitely talk to us about the fusion um, in as the third element or one of the four elements.
Fusion was
Uh,
after comes. Oh, you go ahead. This is almost like Michelle's company page area. So you go that, and I'll do the foundation. We go back to it.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, so fusion, as I said, we always, finish each other's sentences. Essentially what you've got to do, like after you've built those foundations and really got it solid, it's about bringing everything together. Where do you actually go and implement this on LinkedIn? Where are the spaces on your company page? Where are the spaces on your profile? How do you comment? How do you create content that actually aligns with your brand and brings that whole plan together? So the last thing that we want to do is, just go off on a tangent. And we see that all the
Mhm.
time. And people are busy being busy on LinkedIn and they're not getting the results they want. And that could be growing your business. That could be a career promotion. It could be a pay rise. It could be a speaking opportunity. Doesn't matter what your goal is. If you don't actually, align these things back with your plan, yeah, it's game over.
Love it. And then, like you said, Michelle, back to foundation. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that really. I think I'm a huge fan. I would say I'm the biggest fan of 1 and 2 and Michelle 3 and 4. I mean, we love them both, but I think they just have such personal meaning to us. Mindset being one of the, kept me hidden for a while, but foundation is the core of what I do and what really held me back for 5 years. So whether you're just not finding, the direction, clarity of who you are, or so many people, as Michelle said, just jump on LinkedIn and don't get any traction because they haven't done the deep dive. And it doesn't even have to be like years in the making here. We're giving you kind of some guardrails, but just having the North Star to keep you aligned so that the goal that you want will come into fruition. Because the saddest thing I see on LinkedIn in January, just like when you go to a gym and there's crowded people everywhere, same in LinkedIn. The feeds get so crowded and people jump on. But guess what? They don't get their traction and so they disappear. And to us, that's the saddest thing when you're missing out. So we break down really core, what is personal branding? How is it different? What is it not? What is branding and company branding? So we get really nitty and gritty because another thing Michelle and I have identified, and we've talked about this on the podcast, there's a lot of cliches out there on what LinkedIn
Hmm.
is telling us. And we try to set the record straight on what we feel is the best way to build your personal business brand with that foundation.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for, like you ladies are talking about in the book, is building a personal brand. Even on my LinkedIn page, I have build a presence, not a profile, to really talk about personal branding. But what you ladies stated in the book, there's a difference between personal brand and personal branding. So
Hmm.
let's unpack that. And I thought that was very interesting. I was like, that's true. Most people will say it as a clumped word in essence versus not knowing there's a difference between the two. So whoever wants to fill that question, let's separate that and make that clear for the folks.
Michelle, you take that one.
Come on, you're the personal branding
Okay.
No
guru. I'm
Well,
pressure.
not
I don't
going
want
to
to
step on
hong
yours.
the thing. I'm always very cautious. Michelle squared's equal, right?
It's fine. When it comes to personal branding, I'm very happy to give it to the brand therapist because, and why? Because Michelle's helped me untangle my own brands. So, personal brand versus personal branding, take it away, Michelle.
Oh, you're shifting it back to me. Okay,
That
well, I
was
got her to talk. Personal branding. Okay, we do tackle personal branding, and reputation because one of the things I've seen active in the personal branding space the last 3 years, really doing deep. So, personal brand is you, the core of you communicated, the value you bring to the world, very intentional, strategic, like that you are, right? And personal branding is the act and the process of being strategic about it. You can't just hashtag personal branding and say I'm personal branding. Another thing I see on LinkedIn where I want to differentiate is people are doing social media management and content branding. That's a facet of it. When we talk about the strategic part of personal branding, it's dictating who you are, what you stand for, so that you become top of mind and the go to. And we also tackle reputation, but I'm not going to bring that one out. You'll have to read that one in the book because we bust a lot of cliches in there.
Love it. So we skipped one. So I want to jump back to the four, one of the four, the multiplier.
Mm. How
J-
do we skip?
your share with us,
Well,
Miss Raymond.
yeah, for sure. So, once you've got your mindset in the right place and then you set up your foundations and then you've brought it and implemented it on LinkedIn, and you can always refine that over time. The next thing that we wanted to do is talk about multipliers. And what is that? That's about finding your power partners. Who else can you collaborate with that, will really elevate your brand? And that can be employees and businesses, that could be two competitors, it could be anyone, right? It's about how do you look for other people that you can work with and get better
Mhm.
results and both of you rise together. So we also talk about building a community. So we talk about LinkedIn groups specifically as our tool. We know there's lots of others out there. It's really exciting to see the changes that LinkedIn are currently doing around groups. We've both got our own very different groups that we both run, but it's having that community because if you want results on LinkedIn, you can't go it alone. It is a team sport, no matter who you are, where you are in the world. The more people that you can have join in your own little community and have that impact, it just gives you better results, faster results. And, that's obviously as a salesperson, it's not just revenue driven. It can also just be, as I said, those other opportunities that you're looking for in your career. It could be, how do you stand out in your industry? And, having a community around you is the easiest way to do that. We're also looking at ways like how do you amplify your brand? How can you get your brand to more places and spaces? And that's by having things like referral partners out there, just like Michelle and I do. Often we've got clients that I'll say, look, you're great at personal branding. That's your space. How about you speak to my client and really set them up? And that's probably why this book is a reflection of,
Mm.
we've got those foundational steps that Michelle's so good at. And then I take over with the implementational kind of steps. We've discovered that whilst we can probably do both, we have a natural affinity to splitting it in half. And that's why I think our teamwork, our power of two, works so well. And this is why this book probably just reflects who Michelle Squared is.
Love it. So let me ask a question that'll be I'll ask Michelle Griffin from the personal brand side to respond,
Hmm.
and then you, Michelle, from the business side. Do you find clients fearful of what to post, what type of content to initiate their brand and get it, get out there and put themselves out there? Because you talk about that in the book, and again, the workbook outlines a ton of questions for folks to go through. And I say that too because it really forces you to dig deep, which I absolutely love about it. But do you find folks fearful um, to around what to post on content from a personal brand and then from a business brand?
Yeah, I think even more so in the personal branding side sometimes. If you're in a company, you might be able to hide behind the company. With the personal brand, it's all you. It's you, the vulnerable you, putting yourself out there. But as I go back to the foundational clarity and alignment that you find in your internal clarity, your external clarity, and then your professional clarities, which I work in that clarity trifecta, it's almost that safety net that, just amps you up so you don't feel like, "Oh my gosh, what am I gonna say?" Otherwise, you just have to just kinda jump out there and that's so if you wanna get traction faster and see results and feel more courage and confident to get out there, finding clarity. Absolutely. We did in the book, I'll give you a book, but we did
Mhm.
something called the LinkedIn Confidence Survey over a course of 2 weeks this summer, where we polled our podcast listeners and our communities and also our, I just in the post, and we were able to source some really, it's not scientific, but we got a real cross section, a lot of them now. That tells you something that people were giving us amazing quotes, and we put some about how scared they were. So I feel like it's from someone new, from just getting out of university, school, to CEOs. In fact, I have worked surprisingly the most accomplished people you would see on paper, and they're scared to post. So I'm a wired trait across the board. I really don't care who you are, but clarity will give you that. What do I say in the book, Michelle? Clarity brings, I can't remember my own quote. Clarity brings, action brings
Confidence.
courage, clarity, and confidence.
Action.
Confidence, yeah.
Something like that, right?
I think it was
Exactly. Look,
chapter 3 or 4, I think.
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
right at the top. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Michelle.
look, and I would say from a business brand,
Mhm.
employees are just people. They're no different. When we talk about personal brands, a personal brand could be for a business owner, it could be for an employee, and everywhere in between. It's the full spectrum. So I
Mhm.
find when people are creating content specifically for a company via the company page, then quite often they're happy, as Michelle said, to hide behind that anonymous kind of, no one knows that it's personally you doing the post. It's under the company name. But then what happens is, to build your brand, your business brand, you need your employees as advocates. And so that means enabling them and empowering them to actually create content on LinkedIn. And that's when the blocks come up. So, having that power to overcome those fears is our dream. We know that the stats are something like 99% of people will never create content. Like
Mhm.
those numbers in 2022 are crazy and haven't really changed. Even if we say, I think Richard Vanderblom's stats are around 97% of people, like that is still a crazy number of people that are too fearful to actually put themselves out there. So we've got a pretty big audience that we're out to impact. We'd love to move people into the more frequent creators, even just so that they've got a choice. And right now people don't have that choice because they're too scared. And that's why this branding book deliberately starts with mindset, because
Mhm.
the rest of it, yeah, like I said, it would just sit on a shelf and be a nice read. You could enjoy our stories, but that's not what we're out to do.
Yeah, and not to sound repetitive, but I just have to continue to highlight the workbook, which couples within the first couple of chapters, because it talks about, it says, what are you fearful of? And then it says, what excuses basically are you giving yourself? And you give a host of options to select for, where people will start to uncover and be like, holy cow, this is me, this is why. And then area for you to take action. Write down your goals, your visions, your plans, your brand, everything to brand color. So, starting back with you, Michelle Raymond, is you have a section in the book too, both of you, that talks about why start a personal brand and why start a business brand on LinkedIn. So, why start a business brand, or developing your brand on LinkedIn from a business perspective? What are the wins you can see from there?
Look, I always ask people, go and Google your business name. Now, what's going to happen is your LinkedIn company page is going to show up in the first few results, page one of Google results. People trust LinkedIn as a platform, they're likely to click on it. What are they going to find when they go there? Now, if they go there, building a brand is different to creating posts on LinkedIn, right? And so that's the distinguishing point that we'd love to keep reinforcing with people, is that it's not about doing posts. Because for companies, you might want to generate brand awareness so that people know your company exists. You might actually want to attract top talent because you're having a hiring crisis, or you may actually want to do generating sales leads. And so there can be all kinds of different reasons that you want to create a brand, but making it cohesive, bringing your employees together in the one spot, there's just so many advantages to that. And in 2022, if your business is invisible, here's the main problem that you have: your competitors will take that space. So you have the choice to get out and lead from the front, or if you snooze, you lose. And that is the danger, because when someone gets ahead, their brand will stand out, they'll get more opportunities, they'll convert more sales, which means more revenue, which means the vicious cycle that they've got more money to play with creates, this, round and round and round we go, that you won't catch up because it's got a dollar value attached to it. So it's really important to just, create a strong business brand just as much as personal brands.
Love it. And the same question, Michelle. Why is it so important for folks now to create a personal brand on LinkedIn?
It's the new way that the future really belongs to those who step out and show themselves. I think the last 3 years have showed us more than anything. We are craving connection. We are just wanting to see the real people. We can no longer hide behind things. We are out in the open now. There's no going back, right? So it is the one way that humanizes us. It shapes us and just really resonates with the right people. As we are now in this world, 8 people we just recently crossed, and it's
Mm.
hovering probably the next year and a half will be
Little delay. We'll get it back on track though.
literally millions of stake our claim, stand out, and find the right people. Now, we don't need all the people in the world. That's the thing. We are not trying to be mass brands, and personal brands just gives you the right amount of people to trust. And that's ultimately why we're doing it. Trust. Online, we have to trust people, and that's the best way to do it. So the future's really, really optimistic. In the last 2 or 3 years, when I've been in the personal branding space and LinkedIn, I have seen it go from late 2020, early 21 to people just kind of really not sure of it. I saw a lot more posts on just thinking it was just, spammy and narcissistic, to now the tables and the changing. And I am so for that. I mean, I'm just beyond that. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to be something that you put off. I would say start now. It's like growing a tree, right? It's the time is now. So this is a perfect time of the year to pick up the book and find out what makes you tick and how you can get out there. So we're here for it.
So also in the book, it says one of you ladies wrote that you think every person should have a company page. I believe it was
Mhm.
along those lines. So
That was
talk to us
me.
about that, because that's really interesting. Some folks will be like, I haven't even posted or put a carousel or went on video. I haven't even turned on my creator mode. You talk about I should have a company page.
I think,
Look,
ironically, it's not my thing. Didn't I say that too? I think I said that at one point, but maybe you can go farther and deeper in that, Michelle.
yeah, for sure. If like the personal branding person is absolutely on board and saying you do need to have a company page as part of your branding, then you should listen, because it's the one thing that we definitely are very aligned on. And why? Because if you are a business owner, even if you're a solopreneur, here's the cool thing. It is free. It's going to take you about 15 minutes to set up the bare minimum page. You will then be able to show your logo back over on your personal profile. It adds credibility, it adds visibility, all of these kind of things that are, just the advantages of building a brand. So the main concern that I have from people when they're talking about, should I have a company page or shouldn't I, actually comes down to, do I have the resources to create content? Now, that can come later, but at a bare minimum, just set the page up and do one post that says, hey, we don't check this very often. Come and find us over here. We'd love to talk. And I'm very supportive of that in the first instance. I understand more than anyone exactly what it's like to have the challenges of being a solopreneur, juggling every single job every single day and trying to look after your clients first and foremost. So if it's a resourcing issue that you can't keep up with the content, it's okay. Just park that for now. There's no pressure, there's no rush. But do set the company page up, own that space. Like I said, just in case someone Googles your business name or they're on your profile and they're poking around, you want to leave them with a good impression.
Got it. Now you said Michelle Griffin is M1 and you're M2. Is that
Yep.
okay? So
It
so
it
Michelle
just makes it
M1
easier and it's alphabetical.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, what you mentioned earlier in the broadcast that the trifecta. Talk to us about the trifecta.
You mean my clarity trifecta? Yeah,
Hmm.
that is something that I'm always finding analogies, branded words, frameworks. Ask Michelle. I have way too many. Some stick, some don't. And don't ask me how many domains I own because that goes into that too. But clarity trifecta is something I'm so passionate about. So I have a 7-step framework, and the first three are strategy, the foundation before you get to all the goodies, fun stuff. So I just call it the clarity trifecta. Without it, you're just missing. So it's number one is your perspective. It's the internal clarity of you. When you're a personal brand, right? It's you forward facing. So you have to know what lights you up, what your values, beliefs, what infuriates you. All those things are going to help you build your message, your point of view, and all that is so refreshing these days. So that's that. So I get a real deep on that. Number two is people. And that's your external clarity. Who are you here to impact, to help? Now, I'm a little bit different because I call people in marketing, you say you only have one person, but I also call people your partners. As Michelle said, it's a team effort. We borrow each other's and help each other's cross pollinate. So that's external clarity. Number three is positioning, is your professional clarity. Where are you standing out? What's your slice of the market that makes people anchor in your brain? Are you anchoring other and they understand what you're here for? And that is one of the biggest things I see people make the mistake posting content, but I have no idea what they do. Right. So clarity and all that will really give you the clarity trifecta, the guardrails to at least start. And before you can do all the other fluffy stuff, is like I call it. That's the fluffy side. This is the foundation side. So I hope that enlightened you in a high level view of my foundational viewpoint.
Well, great segue because I'm gonna stay with you for the follow up. Is you talk about also brand colors
Mhm.
and breaking it down. So should personal, right? If you're not necessarily looking to start a business page yet, you're an employee 9 to 5. You're starting to build your personal brand. Should you consider brand color when building your presence on LinkedIn as well?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the great once you understand, do the foundational stuff first, or say go do your colors before that. Really, it's your way to people know. I know plenty of corporate branders, people building their corporate side brands, whatever you want to call it, employee brands. And I know off the top, I know what they stand for because I see their color in the feed. So it really
Hmm.
is cross platform, no matter what. A color help define you and help you stand out.
So blue is my favorite color, and I know in the book you have somewhere where you can see the chart. I think it's a QR code or something you can
Mhm.
click on and see the chart. What does blue represent? If you
Blue is, oh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know I'll give you instance yellow. I should study those out colors so I know. I know yellow. I'll just tell you why I picked yellow is because I'm
Mhm.
from Florida, so I want to be sunny, warm, clear as in clarity. It's the same yellow impact as that smiley emoji, the universal smiley emoji, which I just want in my brand. And I like Michelle will tell you real quick why she picked her teal. It's got a wonderful story.
Yeah, for me, I didn't come from a marketing background, as I've shared, so I jumped straight into colors. It was pretty much the first thing that I did, and I'm going to say probably the only thing I did for a little while is think that it was all about the colors. I can't even say I picked fonts or anything else like that. But when I sat down, I was like, I needed to find a color that meant something to me. So you can see that
Mm.
my colors heavily revolve around teal, and that is the color for ovarian cancer awareness here in Australia. So
Mm.
I lost my mom to ovarian cancer, so it's a bit of a nod to her so that I'm reminded of her. But then what happened was a few years, after I'd set that up, what happened was I was scrolling through the feed and someone wrote a post that said teal's like a bit bland and a bit boring and no one remembers it. And I was like, I love teal. That's my brand, and what do I do? So I jumped onto there's a website called Colors, where you can pick, other themes. And I was like, what's a color that kind of reflects me? And the
Mhm.
hot pink that I added into my brand colors is me. It's fun, it's energetic, it's love, and that's what I want to be known for. But that's a bit of a funny story about how I didn't really put a lot of thought into it, but at the same time, those colors really reflect me in the end.
How did they disagree with teal? Maybe
I know,
someone heard
right?
them and was wearing a teal
I
outfit.
know, they're just sort of unremarkable. And I think when we're
Yeah.
talking about colors and we're talking about LinkedIn, and we've got,
Mhm.
nearly a billion people on the platform now, when you look at those kind of numbers, the color is a reminder so that you stand out, so that I can recall you in amongst the sea of same, same.
Mhm.
So color is something that can reflect your personality. It's something
Mhm.
that might mean something to you, it may not. I think blues are normally built around loyalty and things along those lines. Trust. I would imagine if we look it up, it's probably, things to do with that. But yeah, essentially for me, it's like, if I think yellow, I think Michelle and Mamita. If I think, some other colors, I can easily go, oh, that's, this person or that's that person. So even if we can't remember names because there's so many to remember, sometimes you can think, oh, yeah, there's that color. And when you're scanning so fast on the feed, we're on our
Mhm.
phones just, scrolling so quickly. Sometimes it's that color that will stop someone from scrolling. So, yeah, it's one part of it, but don't press Michelle's buttons and get in too early because branding is not colors. She will go ballistic if we press it too much.
No worries. I'll veer left from that. So when it comes to actionable advice, because that's one of the main things I want to provide, the listeners who are watching live and watch the replay, that they can walk away from each episode with actionable advice that they can implement now. What are some quick tips that you can share with folks, both on the personal and business side in developing their brand? And I'll start with you, M1.
Oh, okay. Sounds okay. So I'm going to put this out to someone who I'm assuming is, kind of already on LinkedIn. They're not
Mhm.
exactly 100% new. One of the tips that I have, because my brand story is when I didn't really have clarity in who I'm um, going to get clarity in who you are. And there's like, I'll put these in the comments. There's 5 free personal brand or assessments that you can do that give you really enlightenment on who you are, what makes sense, and why you do the things you do. And that's going to really help translate. The self-awareness is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself before you even get to
Mm.
the clarity. So I will give you those. I'll tell you right now what some of the best ones are out there. There's something called 16personalities.com. That's one of the second one, and there's actually a free one and a not free one, but there's a free Enneagram test, and that one is really good. There's also something called high5.com, HIGH, and then number 5.com. And there's the disc one, and I feel like there's one more
Mhm.
I'm completely breaking out on, but I'll come back and put them in my thing because I share those all the time. They're free, and if you really want to take another step at it, if you want to invest in yourself, is I did this in July. I did the $50 Clifton Strengths paid one, and
Wow.
that just really I got my 5 and made sense and why I do and why I feel and why I act and what lights me. So wow, personal self-awareness and clarity, one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself personally and professionally before you build that brand.
Love it. From you, Michelle, from the, what would you say, some quick tips for business
Yeah.
folks?
The best tip that I can give people right now is go into a bit of a brand audit. Now, I kind of call my brand a bit of a Frankenstein brand. I added on a YouTube channel, I added on podcasts, I had a couple of newsletters, and I just kept adding them on, adding them on. So what I'm doing at the moment as we come into the end of the year is going back and having a look and saying, if I was to look at that as one big puzzle, do the pieces fit together? Or is my branding off on some other platforms, because I'm not just on LinkedIn? So I've discovered, for instance, I've got some of my outdated colors on my thumbnails, on a couple of other places that I'd forgotten about. So lots of little gaps and opportunities for improvement. And one of the things that I had to do when I went back and had a look at it, and if I'm being honest, I should hang my head in shame because I'm a company pages expert. And Orlando, I'm here to confess that I desperately needed to rewrite my about section on my company page. It was so far out of date and did not reflect who I am, who I want to help, and how I do that. So if you are someone that set your company page up in a rush, it's time to go back, have a look at the pieces that you didn't complete, but rewrite your about section. So, because it really is your calling card. Same with the banner. It's another easy win. They're two easy wins that can make such a big difference. And yeah, I have to confess, I had to take my own medicine.
I'll be taking that pill as well. So I'll ask for a free assessment, and then you can give me some feedback on my company page, which I do not really be. I'm really not active on that. But I like your tip earlier when you said, "Hey, we don't see this a lot. Come here." So I guess you can use that in either fashion, from your personal to your business, and then back and
What
forth. So
one of the
okay.
thing I just
Mhm.
want to add, one of the things Michelle has commented, I think we were going to live together, is use your personal, as a personal brand, use your company page as your greatest hits album. Remember that analogy,
Mm.
Michelle? It's so perfect. So put all the stuff you won't remember. So when people go check you out, they're going to see those great things that communicate. So if you're not posting all the time, they at least add to your authority and your credibility. So I love that analogy she created.
So that's the highlight reel, the company page.
Highlight reel. Exactly.
Love it. So it would, because in the book you also talk about. I think you talk about the, what's the page you can make from it, from LinkedIn as well, not
Showcase page.
the showcase
Showcase.
page.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk to us about that. I've never really dove into that. What is that exactly? Is that also a similar to a kind of a highlight reel for your page?
Look, I would say for most people, keep it simple. Just have one company page and just make it the destination.
Mm.
Make sure that you do that well. It's the same reason that I recently took myself off Twitter because I kind of had it there. I kind of did some stuff, but I didn't really do a lot, but it reflected poorly on my brand because I was only half doing it. So I've blocked that out, and the same can happen with your company page. Put a bit of effort into it. It does not need to take a lot of time. You only need to do like a post every couple of weeks. It doesn't need to be a huge, overbearing, how do I get this done? But just with a little bit of love, it can drag you a long way. And again, your company brand can help build your personal brand and vice versa. So I use them in combination, and that's all about the power of two. How do you look around LinkedIn and find things that complement you, complement your business, and amplify those things? And company brand and employees' personal brands, it's such a big win.
Well,
Love it,
one of the
love it.
things
So
I want to
okay.
add, well, I was just going to say there's a diagram, and Michelle, eventually we need to expand on that. The LinkedIn brand, and we have the 4 quadrants where you can build the brand, and we have all the other nitty gritty places that we really don't dive into, but we wanted you at least to be aware. So if you're really curious in all the nitty gritty places on LinkedIn where the brand matters and combines, go check out that graphic because it's really comprehensive.
Awesome. So, if, for folks who haven't gotten the book, again, this is, and tell me if I'm way off of my analogy. How the book speaks to me is that, yeah. Let me, everybody, let's get it up again one more time.
Get it?
Hang on. I'm coming.
There you go. Is that because of the first, and again, I'm referencing back to the first 2 chapters where it talks about mindset and fear. It it opens you up such on a personal level first before you're taking action to do the work. right? You're setting a tone in a position to say, find out who you are before you just start blasting and putting up posts and colors and fonts and content. Know who you are first, right? So it's almost like a self help assessment in the first couple of chapters, which is great because you ladies dive deep into that. And I was like, wow, okay, what's still unfair? I'm like, wow. And then I looked at the workbook and I was like, holy cow, this is a therapeutic breakdown. And for folks to really kind of see what's going on before they go out into the deep end to really overcome it. So kudos to you ladies on that. Before we wrap up, I want to be mindful of the time. So, when it comes to the exponential growth, if you were to sum up the book and pull some nuggets out, where did you start seeing in your personal brand? What tools or what things did you do to when you started seeing that growth?
Oh, can I go first on this one?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
um, I have the perfect example of what helped me the most. And it's because of my very dear friend that's on this podcast here with us today. Michelle, I went to her in April 2021. And at the time, I was known for one thing, which was company pages, but no one else liked company pages. And I wanted to throw it away and say, I can train people on this and I can do this. Look over here, Michelle, I could do anything. And Michelle gave me the best advice, which was stay in your lane, keep on going, just be
Mm,
known for one thing. Fast forward, an opportunity to write the world's first book on company pages came up. I've had so many opportunities to speak and present in different places because I am that person that is known for that one thing, which is company pages.
mm,
Building a niche back in the beginning for someone that didn't come from a background of worrying about marketing or branding was the scariest thing that I've ever done. But if you're out there trying to be everything to everyone, I promise you just blend into the background. So find your thing, be known for that one thing. And I promise you, no matter how scary it is, it pays off. And I say thank you to Michelle every single time that we're on one of these things because it was her guidance. I can promise you, I was freaking out, going, are you sure about this? I do not want to cut off all of this other audience. I don't want to miss out on sales. And she's like, just keep going, a bit of, what do you call it? Dory and Nemo, just keep swimming. And off I went. And, I'm here today to tell the tale that turns out pretty good.
One
great.
of the best stories ever. I would say, just making LinkedIn. I say this in the book. Think of LinkedIn as your launching pad. You're getting on not a million or excuse me, a billion people. You have the opportunity seen and sought after. And
Hmm.
the and I got really consultancy. I was doing a lot of more referral work, word of mouth, and more implementation work. And so when I started diving in the latter, well, I guess the last 6 months of the first 6 months of my first year, I got really active on LinkedIn. And then I started within 3 weeks, I got asked to be on a podcast and speak on a virtual summit. So getting the clarity, how and being known for that thing, that really
Hmm.
helped me. And so through the course of continuously, and for my client, we get seen as that person, and that helps the right people resonate out to you. And that's what we want. It's not everybody, just the right people. And that's what I want to just really stress. You don't need to go viral. You don't need all the people in the world. You need the right people, right?
Right.
And they're here and they're waiting for you if we just get out there the right way.
I'm sure we can talk for hours about personal testimonies that come from building a personal brand. But back to the fear. What are you fearful if you are still with putting your brand out there at all, Michelle? In one.
Yes. Okay. So it's not so much that I guess we all live in time.
Hmm.
I've talked about this on our podcast that I need to peel back more layers. One of the ironic things about me, I'm super extroverted. I will talk to anyone and everyone. Like I don't shut up. But when it gets online, I become what I call a little bit of an online introvert. I put it this way: I've been in PR and helping other people brand and market themselves. I'm so used to putting other people in the spotlight. I don't like being in it myself. Hard. So I think the next level, Michelle 2.0, this year is going to be coming up. We'll be doing video. So you
Mm.
have to keep getting out of your comfort zone to go to your growth zone. Otherwise, nothing happens. I think that's what it is. So being more personable. And I want to caution that if people are hearing this, building a personal brand, vulnerable and share your deepest, darkest secrets. No, you just be personal, share your lessons and things. And that's what people really enjoy. It humanizes us. So that is what I think scares me, but I'm going to try to own it and move forward through it.
What's yours, Michelle?
So mine's a little bit different and it's not related to content. That's not something that's ever scared me, but I am fiercely competitive and I hate coming second. So when you're in a race against 875 million people, often who are doing the same job that I do, have been doing it for a lot longer, for me, it's always that fear of not being good enough or not being able to
Mhm.
beat them or not being able to catch up or not, all kinds of craziness along those spaces. So often I think, in my mind, it's like, should I really be doing this? Because that person's better than me. And I start comparisonitis is how my fear shows up because I get sideswiped when I see somebody else have a post and that post looks, I'm happy for them, but secretly I'm like, I wish that was mine. I wish that was me. And so I've got to catch myself and go, you're being silly. It's like the 6-year-old Michelle who used to run, and get gold medals. It's like she's not running this race anymore. I'm like, 46 or something. Is that what yeah, 46 years old. And I'm still, acting like a 6-year-old some days. So for me, it's about just running my own race, literally, and just staying focused
Mhm.
and just backing myself and believing myself. And I'm sure that there's probably some people out there that can hear a little bit of the perfectionist and a little bit of the, little bit of me in them as well. And that's why we shared our stories so much throughout the book, because we don't want people to see us where we are now and people look at me and say, oh, but Michelle, you're not scared of anything. You create this content, you create that, you're on video, lives, podcasts. Yes, but that's not who I was 2.5 years
Mhm.
ago, right? So what you see today is not how I just woke up one day. It's 2.5 years of practice, research, learning, growing, being scared to do videos, all those kind of things I've just been through in front of other people. So the book is about reaching back to people a couple of years behind us and helping them come through so that they can help others. And yeah, I think it's doing that. And that's the best kind of feedback that we can get from anyone. And we can see it in the testimonials on Amazon or comments or
Mhm.
posts, is that we can see it's having a real impact and it's helping people get over the hurdle of themselves so that they can achieve their greatness.
Yeah, I love that, and I think folks can find themselves in either side of your story. With you, Michelle Raymond, being the accidental entrepreneur, and you, Michelle Griffin, being
Mhm.
the deliberate but delayed entrepreneur.
Yes.
And there was there's a parallel there that still no one, even though your mindsets were different, still landing in the same spot and connecting. That's a great story for both of you to share in that book, and I think that'll help some folks moving forward. So last question, and I'll start with you, Michelle Raymond. What is your personal brand mantra? So in other words, what gets you up every day to do what you do?
Yeah, mine's easy. It's good for business, business for good, because I just want to work with people who are out to make, do good in the world. I want to attract those people. I want to help purpose-driven people achieve more. So yeah, the more that I can do good business with good people, that's what gets me out of bed. That is why I do what I do. That is why I love training other people out there to really have those light bulb moments where they go, ah, now I get it, and they can move forward. And I guess that's the thing that Michelle Squared is. That's who we are at our core. But yeah, it's definitely what gets me up every day. And Michelle, I know yours is probably pretty similar, but yeah, what's yours?
Well, mine is put yourself out there and make your unique mark on the world, because I am here for all the hidden and who desperately want to get out there and, build their brand, be out there, build a presence, and just really show up for good, make a that makes a statement and makes a difference. And to together, Michelle Square and I come because we are here to help people build their brands and businesses of good. So that's why we hit it off 2 years ago and wrote this book a month ago that came out. And it's just the beginning. We have big plans in 2023 to do more things for, global brands and businesses of good.
Well, ladies, I appreciate you both for your expertise, for your time, and for this book. I can't wait to dive into the workbook and start putting that stuff to action. I will share my feedback for sure, and tag you ladies, and share the wins and things that I've learned from the book. So super excited about that. But again, just thank you for your grace and expertise and sharing with the folks. One last time, let's go ahead. Let's just throw it up. Let's just throw it up.
Yeah.
You got to
For
get it, folks.
having us. And everyone can go on our website, michellesquare.com, on the Global Wall of Good and see your picture holding the book up with the Career Talks podcast. That's one of our best. I think it's actually on the top because you were one of the first people to send it to us. So thank you for
Oh,
that.
really? Yeah, I had to get it. I'm all
Yeah.
about. I love it. I love learning about LinkedIn, and you ladies are definitely bringing some fire with the book. So congratulations. I look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing what's coming next for you ladies. But yeah, you just started. Where can they connect with you, learn more about you individually and together?
Oh, okay. Well, collectively, it's michellesquare.com, a link to for me, for M1, michelle.com. The B stands for brand. And send me a kind of request. Tell me, or just, you saw me here, I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. Just, help meet you and all those good things. So we're here. And also our podcast, weekly podcast, is a great way to hear us banter and give all the great tips on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, exactly. So michellesquared.com, or you can find me Michelle J. Raymond on LinkedIn. The J is part of my brand because there's 10,000 other Michelle Raymonds out there, of which I've talked to a couple. But yeah, Michelle J. Raymond is how you'll find me. But yeah, I appreciate, Orlando, that you've had us here. You've handled the Michelle Squared power with ease and grace. And we
Thank you.
appreciate the opportunity to share about the book. And thank you so much for buying a copy. Yeah, you've made our day with your feedback, because I can see that you've actually really
read the
read
book. Yes.
it.
Thank you for that.
And we
Absolutely.
can see that it's making an impact when you talk about it, and that is just made my day. So thank you so much.
And especially the workbook. I can't wait to hear your feedback because we labored a
Oh,
long time on that too. It was a labor
the
of love,
workbook
but
is phenomenal. It's
good.
phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, ladies. I'm gonna close this out with a quick video.
All right.
If you stay behind scenes, we'll
Bye,
chat
everybody.
real quickly. Have a great night.
Thanks.